Hello, I'm Danny G. Welcome to Capital One City Parks Foundation's SummerStage Anywhere. Happy International Dance Day. We have a great show for you this evening, Dance Africa at BAM, with Artistic Director Abdel Salaam, which will include a conversation between Salaam and Dance Africa producer Charmaine Warren, as well as performance excerpts. SummerStage is New York's largest free outdoor performing arts festival. In our typical in-person season, we bring more than 200 renowned artists and rising stars from around the world to neighborhood parks across all 5 boroughs, reflecting the true diverse cultures of New York. While we wait until we can gather safely again in parks, we're thrilled to continue to produce digital music and dance performances on SummerStage Anywhere. Join us weekly as we offer our stage to voices from around the city and across the globe. Tag your social posts #SummerStageAnywhere to add your voice to the conversation. As an independent nonprofit organization, we rely on our donors to help us make SummerStage possible. Please support our work by donating anything you can at SummerStageAnywhere.org. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope you enjoy the show, Dance Africa.
Greetings and welcome, SummerStage Anywhere audience. We are happy to be invited by our special favorite person, Danny G. Right, Baba?
That's right. We love Danny.
We love Danny. She's a longtime supporter of dance and for sure Dance Africa. In year 2 of my position as producer of Dance Africa, I am honored to continue to sit alongside you, Baba brother Abdel Salaam, to talk about our shared love, Dance Africa. Thanks to all of you out there who have joined for International Dance Day, Dance Africa at BAM with Artistic Director Abdel Salaam. Boom, shakalaka laka.
Boom, boom.
I am Charmaine Warren. I am a light-skinned, non-disabled Jamaican Black woman. I am the great-granddaughter of Ida Boyd, granddaughter of Solomon Goldson and Ruby Chapman, and one of 9 children by Theophilus Warren and my 95-year-old mother, Pearline Warren, who lives in Jamaica. Now and forever, I promise to acknowledge those who came before me and have toiled to make it possible for me to be present on this land. Today, I give homage to the Native people by acknowledging that I live on the stolen land of the indigenous Lenape people, now known as Montclair, New Jersey. I have locks that are pulled on top of my head and wrapped in a brightly colored gele. I'm wearing a red long sleeve t-shirt and large wooden adinkra earrings. I'm sitting on a green couch with green pillows. Behind me are photos, a lamp, and treasured artifacts from Africa. Your turn, Baba. Introduce yourself.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to go through everything that's in my house because I used to sell African art for about 40 years. So I would be here for the next 3 hours talking about all of the artifacts and things that are inside the house. But let me start out officially by following Charmaine's example and just say to the audiences listening to us, peace and blessings, family. And I am Baba Abdel Salaam, the grandson of Milton Pryor Bowser the second, who was also called Buddy Bowser, and the grandson of his wife, Alice Washington, and also the grandson of Margaret Poole and Willie Williams, that's on my mother's side and my father's side. And I am blessed to be married, to one of the most amazing dancers in the universe, Sister Diane Harvey Salaam. And we gave birth to Kisek Nekek Naut Salaam, which means spirit, water, star in the night sky of peace. And our 2 grandchildren, Jasmine Adams and Kayla Adams. And I too am here, on the land of the Lenape people of the Isle of Manhattan, because the Native Americans here told me, make sure I didn't say Manhattan and do it the way, we do it in Brooklyn and Harlem, and make sure I said Manhattan, to give it its proper pronunciation. And am blessed to also be here on an island, that was developed by our ancestors. And I was fortunate enough to work, on one of the major films that talked about the, our ancestry in Lower Manhattan in Wall Street. And you can still see that by going downtown today, and looking at the African burial ground as it still exists in Lower Manhattan. So it's a pleasure to be here. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing this because we just kind of bounce off each other.
See, you can't start off like that. You said you asked me if I was going to name Tony, and I didn't. And now you named Diane. So I'm going to say my husband is Tony Turner, and our daughter is Ashe Turner. You wrong, Baba.
Well, there you go. See, I thought when I dropped it on you like that, you were going to pop it into the introduction. I didn't know that you had to prepare an introduction. I love you, boo.
I love you more, and I love that laugh.
And we also forgot to say, that you and I, like Coco, when you come at family and Black folks, we had every every color, every shade in the rainbow, from the gorgeous, blue black satin, to the high mellow yellow. And Danny, we all say Danny is part of MYT, the mellow yellow tribe. So we love you, Danny.
Oh,
Welcome to the bright folks, of the black
come on.
folks.
And then you mentioned Coco Killingsworth, so we got to lift Killingsworth up. She is one of the 3 co-presidents at Brooklyn Academy of Music.
Absolutely. We love you too, Coco.
Love you, Coco. So you were just talking about Lower Manhattan and your history. Let's talk about our New York history for a minute. You have more than me, though, I gotta say.
Okay. You want me to start with myself, or would you like to start?
Yeah, well, let me start with me because mine is so short.
Okay.
I came from Jamaica when I was 12, and we lived in Queens for a hot second, then moved to Jersey. And then much later on in life, I lived in Harlem, and boy, did I have a good old time. And then I left, and now I'm in Jersey, and that's okay. How about you and your long legacy of New York?
Well, again, I'm not going to go into all of that because, again, we would be here for hours, all right? But last December 2nd, I turned 70 years old. And so I've been living in Manhattan, in Harlem, for 70 years. I'm one of Harlem's native sons, raised across the street from Marcus Garvey Park. Baptized there, went through all kinds of spiritual traditions from the African diasporic philosophical traditions to the nation, to the Kemetic understanding, and also to the church, the Presbyterian church, but I would say most importantly, baptized in the street, and like many of us, that are African Americans, there is an interesting balance or a bilingual, a trilingual, mode of communication that we developed in the course of our lives, where we try to speak in the professorial world, in an academic world, in the business world, but also the world of the hood. And all 3 of those are important, for our survival. And I come from a family of arts. My grandmother, on my father's side, was one of the first Black models. I can't remember if it was Ford, one of the first Black Ford models, but it would come to me in a minute, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Her name was Sarah Lou Williams. And she raised us in a family where we were around fashion a lot. My grandfather was a comedian in vaudeville, and also was a part of a comedic team at the Apollo Theater. So I came up going to the back of the Hotel Teresa and the Apollo Theater, and watched him. He used to tour with Honey Coles and Duke Ellington and Ella Fitzgerald. So I always wanted to be in the arts. My father tried to be like his father, and became a songwriter and used to travel in the Chitlin circuit with Freddie Cole, that's Nat Cole's brother, and Tiny Bradshaw. I went to the High School of Music and Art, Lehman College, but and became a devotee of the dance world, thanks to my dance mother, Mama Joan Miller, and also my dance father, Baba Chuck Davis. So that was the contemporary world and the world of the African diasporic arts. And I was raised in music, xylophone, glockenspiel, viola, saxophone. I wanted to be John Coltrane or Eric Dolphy or Charlie Parker. And when the High School of Music and Art told me that I need to play viola for 3 years, although I love classical music, it kind of threw me into for a loop. I didn't know what I was going to do. And Joan introduced me to the dance world. And so here I am 50 years later, in the world of dance, having this conversation with my beloved family out there, with a specific love for Baba Chuck and DanceAfrica that was founded in 1977.
And SummerStage too, because
well, we're saving SummerStage for last, because that's why we're here. Right. Mm-hmm.
But you just said something, Baba, and I think, back when we were all together, I think my last SummerStage was, what's the park that you mentioned where you were born? Across from the park?
Yeah, Marcus Garvey Park. Used to be called Montmartre Park, but now it's Marcus Garvey Park.
I think that was the last live summer stage performance I went to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of dance, of course, produced by Danny.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that Danny did was bring classes.
Mm-hmm.
So you could take a class before the summer stage performance. Do you remember seeing performances there, or what's your last memory of a live summer stage performance?
I mean, I went to a lot of summer stage performances because even though I live now in what we still call it Upper Harlem. You know, it's referred
Of
to as
course.
Lower Washington Heights. But anytime you're around 158th Street, you know, and Riverside, you know, we used to consider that to be like North Harlem. Um, I lived in and I was raised right across the street from Montmartre Park, you know, right across from the amphitheater. Before there was an amphitheater, remember, you know, because 70 years ago we had no big huge Olympic pool, we had no amphitheater, we had no concrete baseball field, which all of that was built during the course of the 50s and early 60s.
See, I didn't know that. I just went to the show, summer stage show at the park.
Sure, and when you on the summer stage, you can look up at the top of that mountain of Marcus Garvey Mountain, and that was the lookout point for all of Manhattan before skyscrapers, before the huge tall buildings, when buildings were only built to be about 7 stories, and so you could look and see Jersey, you could see Long Island, you could see up north, you know, and it's talking about, you know, the 16th and 17th century when the Dutch were here. So we used to go up, you know, and dance and drum and play and do a bunch of other things that I won't talk about back in the 70s. So yeah, really a Harlem child. And so when they built the summer stage, what I realized is I had never done a performance, Forces of Nature, you know, and my company, which is also 40 years old now, had never done a performance outdoors, you know, in Marcus Garvey Park. And so Danny gave me an amazing opportunity. Danny is such a dope producer.
Come on.
I'm going to say that to the, you know, to the young people out there. Danny is like top of the line. Danny pulls everybody, you know, from the experimental dance world, the postmodern dance world, the traditionally African dance world, jazz. You know, she got George and Diane and Diane McIntyre. I mean, everybody comes up in there, and that's because of Danny's vision.
Mm-hmm.
Danny has this amazing vision where, you know, where it's not simply limited to one genre of dance or one type of dance, but she understands that dance is a living language, which empowers all of us. And she makes sure that she presents that not just downtown, you know, summer stage, you know, where there's, you know, the $100,000 tech budget, right, that exists. But we come uptown and whatnot, you know, and she rolls it out, and we all get up on that stage and we give to our people, we give to our family.
Bob Abdel.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
was the first time that you all performed outside and Danny made that happen.
The first time we ever did a performance in what was, again, Montmartre Park or Marcus Garvey Park. And it was the first time I had ever done an outside performance in my hood, in my neighborhood, because you know, we've done the Apollo and Aaron Davis and, yeah, you name it, any of the houses or theaters that existed in Harlem. But a lot of people, you know, on my block, which was 122nd Street, they knew I was in the dance world. They knew I was connected to Dance Africa. They knew that I had Forces of Nature. But unless they came to see us at, you know, at one of the larger theaters throughout Manhattan or Brooklyn or wherever it was, or BAM, you know, or again, or the Apollo or Aaron Davis, I had never done a performance in my block. I mean, like,
come on, Danny.
Never know. So Danny was the one that enabled the company to, you know, for me to get a little 122nd Street rep going. It was like, oh, that's the light-skinned brother down the block that's got the dance company. Yo, man, that was the joint. That was dope. You know, I never knew that that's what you did, you know, with your life. So thank you, Danny. I love you.
Oh, all right. Let's flip to some more kind of history. Your history with Baba Chuck Davis, your dance Baba, Ibaye.
Ibaye Baba Chuck, yeah, Ibaye Baba. I met Baba Chuck in 1969 at an Odwira festival with Nana Denizulu, and I didn't have a lick of African, you know, dance in me, and I started in Joan Miller's BFA program at Lehman in 1970, and Baba Chuck came up in the fall of 70, after I had met him that previous year, and became a teacher in the fall of 70 and 71. And I started studying with him. Again, my dance mother was Mama Joan Miller, Limon, ballet, some Horton. She had brought Thelma Hill up, or was connected and close to Thelma Hill, and Leon Danelian, right, at EBT. So I had Louis Falco was up there, Jennifer, Juan Antonio, Paul Sansato, I'm not Paul, but Jan Martin. So I came out of the contemporary dance world, and that was what my initial training was. But concurrent with that was Baba Chuck, and so because of Baba Chuck, my love for dance was never just limited to what I was exposed to in the contemporary world. I came up with this passion for the world of the African diaspora, right, and the African diaspora arts, and later joined Baba Chuck's company, first as a neophyte apprentice.
I was just gonna say, do you remember being the young one in the company, and who were the others?
I was never the young one because I started dancing late, right? So I mean, I came in at whatever it is, at having started dance. Nathan Trice and I laugh about this all the time. Nathan started dancing at 25, and I started dancing right before I was 19 or 20. So we came in as we weren't OGs, but we were we were the old dogs, you know what I'm saying, in the dance world. And we were studying and working with people who had been in dance school since the age of 5. And 6. I had been in music schools all my life and visual art schools, but I had not been around the dance world. So it was because of Baba Chuck and Mama Joan, right, that we would spend 10 hours a day taking classes, 9 hours a day taking classes. We were immediately made apprentices in a number of different Black dance companies. I know at one point, I was working with 4 Black, dance companies at the same time. Initially as a young dancer, but also at some point as a professional. That was because of the experience of the dance world in that era within the 70s. We all shared dancers. It was a shared experience. There wasn't a lot of money in it. There weren't big contracts like the young people looking for today, but for us, it was a passion for movement and love in the aesthetic. Did I answer that question you asked me about? Chuck?
Yes, you did. But who else? The other one was, who else was in the company back then? Do you remember?
In Chuck's company?
Yeah.
Well, there's so many. I mean, so many people. I started in Chuck's company in 1970. So if you think about, the people who are on the Council of Elders, Mama Lynette, Jackie Coban, Linda Evans, they were dancers at that time. One of Elio's principal dancers and also worked in Limon Company was Marshall Williams. There were a bunch of young dancers who were now ancestors, Ibaye, Chuck Thorpe, Ibaye, Gary Chapman, Bruce Heath is still around, not Francis Morgan. Just a plethora of dancers, but in my buddy Charles Wynn, who's been singing opera now for years, who lives in Germany. So Chuck had a rich company filled with amazing dancers who were trained and disciplined in multiple techniques of dance. And so in Chuck's early company, which is where I inherited my vision, it was a contemporary company, and it was also a company that did either traditional African dance or Chuck's experimental dance forms, or what we evolved to become Neo-African dance. And that was where I learned and became impassioned and got the understanding that dance could be traditional from the diaspora, but it could also be a fusion and a kind of, if you will, I kind of refer to it as a Pan-African form. As Kwame Nkrumah said, rather than getting caught up in the ego of one language and one culture, why you should study that and be a part of that and preserve that. And there are people who do that, that there are those people who are going to create that which will become tradition and search for and experiment with new languages. And that's what I decided that I wanted to do. That was because of Baba Chuck, but it was also because of Mama Joan Miller.
Yeah, that man has touched so many lives.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe
hundreds of.
And if you think about the stuff when he was on camera, maybe millions.
Right, exactly. Exactly. But you mentioned the Council of Elders, and a lot of them are the well, first of all, tell everybody who might not know what the Council of Elders is and why we bring it up.
Baba Chuck always emphasized, and I don't know if he did that because he was getting older, because I don't read, but I can't say that because Chuck comes from the South, right?
Right.
So the Caribbean tradition, the Southern tradition, always emphasizes that African American people in particular, although there are other people and other cultures from all over the world, pay homage and respect and bring and give respect to their ancestors and their elders. um, Western civilization has a tendency to be a youth culture, or culture which promotes and elevates, the construct of 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 um, of being young, of the youth. Where in the African traditions, um, they understand that it's about being connected to the roots of one's being, right? Sometimes on Facebook, hear a lot of young people say I'm self-made, and I used to in my workshops of empowerment and cultural empowerment with young people, I would get annoyed with that, and I remember saying sometimes to young people, "How dare you say that you are self-made?" When everything is connected in some form or fashion to the root. And if you look at the cultural heritage of who we are as a people, our ancestors taught us that your past informs your present, which will help determine the future. And no one exists here without being connected to some kind of past. So there's too much that the elders of a society have given us, whether it was direct or subliminal, through school, through sitting on the porch in the South of the Caribbean and listen
That's
to the tales and the stories. I mean, I know, like I listen to you sometimes. We got stories,
I
right?
know.
You know what I'm saying? And we tell
So
stories, right?
many.
Always, boo.
Yeah.
So the Council of Elders, are were molded um, um, and um, uh, and evolved within Chuck's understanding that one of the major pillars of African society and culture is to honor one's ancestors and one's elders. And so he formed in Dance Africa the Council of Elders, because he realized that he was empowered
Mhm.
in the dance world by his elders. And I think he wanted to make sure, because we also understand that one of the major cultural traditions, that exists with one of the major traditions within African culture is an understanding that one day we will all also become ancestors.
That's
That the
right.
step before you transition, right, that you become an ancestor, is that you become an elder, and you should be, if you're doing stuff in order to be revered, because there's some elders you may not want to necessarily revere them, right? But if you're an elder that has made some contributions and continues to make a contribution,
Yeah.
young people should respect you. And so he created the Council of Elders. And in Dance Africa, we do nothing without first and foremost honoring the elders and our ancestors. And that's just a part, of the essence of the tradition of who we are. And it makes us whole, and it connects us to our roots. And it also makes us understand that we are not self-made, right? That,
Just saying.
we are not
And
yeah,
and
right.
now you're an elder.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
70. Yeah,
Yeah.
70 years old. So I guess
And
I'm
you,
officially an elder.
yes, and now you are 5 years, 6 years, the artistic director. So from one elder, he passed the torch on to you.
Yeah, but I just want to make it clear to the listening audience. I was vetted, okay? I mean,
Yeah.
I was up against some, up, I should say, with some, some pretty strong and heavyweight people. And yes, Chuck was a person that did suggest that I be considered. But I did go through a vetting process, and I would say that probably one of the things that helped me was not only my connection to the culture and to the heritage, and I guess a balance of whatever forms that I happen to be in love with, within the world of dance and the arts. But the other thing was that, I mean, I'm a child of New York. I mean, I'm a Harlemite. I'm a New Yorker. I spent year, I'm connected to Brooklyn. I'm connected to Queens. I'm connected to the people, you know, of you know of my environment. I mean, I'm a New Yorker. These are my roots. And in being New Yorker, it also connects you to the Caribbean,
Yeah.
community. It connects you to the Latino community. It connects you to well, it used to be the Puerto Ricanos, you know, but now it's Puerto Ricanos and Dominicans and
That's right.
Chicanos and Honduras, so, but on all of that, that African culture, that beat, that tambour, the drum, you know what I'm saying, the rhythms, the ancestral mindset, it all exists within those cultural constructs. And so that's something that I, like a lot of us, I was raised in. And
Yeah.
so, so when he said, we want you to think about or consider you to be the artistic director, Chuck also said to me, which I think is important for each of us to say this to the generation coming up after us: do not try to do this exactly the way I did. You know, you have to find, your own voice and your own vision. Whatever it is that's important to you, everybody will not love it. Everybody's not gonna like, like some people, they swear by chocolate ice cream, other people is strawberry. I don't eat ice cream anymore, but when I used to eat it, we have debates about which one tastes better. And it's the same thing with the art. Arts are personal.
What excited you?
Hmm?
I cut you off. What were you saying?
I'm saying that there was a plethora of forms of dance and genres that belong to Africa and its diaspora, which is global. Yeah. And so if my goal is to present Dance Africa is not only American centric. While it's important to say to the listening audience that when Chuck started Dance Africa in 1977, it was the people in the Americas who were passionately in love with the work of the African diaspora and wanted to connect the larger New York community's understanding of the beauty and the aesthetic value and the cultural value of Africa. And it was African Americans that did that. But when I say African Americans, I really want to make this clear, Charmaine. When I say African American, I'm not just talking about the continental United States. There are three Americas: North, Central, right, and South. And part of the Central is connected to the Caribbean. All of that is African American. If you honor and give and pay homage to whatever it is in that's a part of your African self, then you're North American African, African American, you Central American, blah 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 blah, and so on and so forth.
But what excited you about being in the audience when you started going to Dance Africa?
Well, I was in the first Dance Africa. I was excited that I was in it. It was me. I mean, I was dancing with my crew. We were dancing in Dance Africa. But go ahead.
That was on the stage. All right.
On the stage, right.
And then you started making work for your company, and then you were in the audience, right?
Yeah. Well, so the first 5 or 6 years, this is a 3-hour conversation.
I know, and I'm going to wrap it up soon.
I know, but the first Dance Africa, was the Chuck Davis Dance Company, and then Chuck, Bessie Pruitt, Chuck's manager, who is now an ancestor, Ibaye, Bessie had gone to, and Chuck had gone to Harvey Lichtenstein and said, "Why don't you produce the Chuck Davis Dance Company?" Right? They had just come back from Chuck's company had just come back from Festac, right, in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. So Harvey said, fine. So the company was presented, the touring company was presented in Dance Africa, or some of the people that year. And then the following year in 78, Chuck, because he's just like that. Remember, like how Alvin, rather than making everything about Alvin's work, which is what most choreographers do, he brought in Tally's work, he brought in Donnie McHale's work, he brought in this person, So Chuck did the same thing. Nana's got a company. Charles Moore had a company. Arthur Hall in Philadelphia had a company. I'm leaving out somebody. They're going to kill me.
No, they're not going to kill you. Right. But we have to keep moving, though.
Right. So anyway, he did that, and he opened the door.
Yeah.
Right. For the different companies who were celebrating diaspora to perform in Dance Africa. So, and Chuck's company, of course, how could I forget Chuck's company? That was the other company. So we would be performing in Dance Africa, and every year he would add another company. Mm-hmm. And then finally, one year it was the first international company. It was Welcome Nsome's Izulu Dance Theater. And that was by his director, Welcome Nsome, and Duma and Bluvo, who 40 some odd years later, I've made a connection and Forces goes, to South Africa and Duma and I are planning the first International Dance Africa, which was getting ready to happen last December, and it got
And
funded,
then
and then bam, COVID, and we lost our first International Dance Africa. But I'm saying that to say, you know, before I bounce past the ball back to you, that when you ask me what did I enjoy watching the brilliance of this African cultural mind through rhythm, theater, dance, song, and poetry that evolves into works with the young people, that involves to the marketplace, that involves into theater and the African festival. I enjoy watching that under Chuck's guidance for, you know, for almost 4 decades, 3.5 decades before he transformed. So I was empowered. I was
and what
empowered.
are you excited about now as the artistic director?
Um, Having the responsibility, which is a little scary sometimes, you know, of walking. You can't walk in a great man's shoes or a great woman's shoes.
No.
The only thing that you can do is to be inspired, you know, by the path, the footprint that they have created, you know, and then look at the breadth of that footprint and how it impacts the passion and life of a person, and then understand that your responsibility as a director, you know, is to create your own footprint.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time following in the path, but then eventually veering off and creating your own road and your own path. So what excites me sometimes, as you know, from day one, I've taken risks.
Yeah.
You know, I've taken risk as the artistic director, and so the people that love the fact that I take risks go on this journey with me. Some people, you know, want Dance Africa to be what it was, and one day there may be an artistic director that comes along and takes it back to what it was, you know, very much in the same way that the Ethiopians did in ancient Kemet, you know, where they established the third kingdom, you know, after the
Yeah,
first,
right.
you know, and they went back with Tabaka and Taharka, and they went back into the ancient ways of the Nahasi, you know, they were no longer the middle kingdom with the root. You know, maybe somebody may come along after me and do that. But my job is to do what my Baba told me to do, which was to search for frontiers that maybe some people have not yet gone before in the African diaspora, because as I say sometimes to young people, Africa is dynamic. We are not stagnant. Africa is not static. It has things which are traditional, and they should be preserved and maintained and shared with the people. And there are people who are masters of that. That is not, you know, that is not the road, the path that I took. You know, so I look for some of those new voices. I mean, my first year, I brought in an African postmodern company along with a traditional company. I brought in Tenan, who was a postmodern Senegalese company, along with an extremely traditional Sabar company, Watosita. Some people loved it, and some people said, "What in the hell is that brother doing?" You know, I did the same thing with the South African company, you know, with Duma's group, and then I brought in, you know, a contemporary company. So, and I'm only mentioning that because Danny said to me, "Well, I wanted you to talk a little bit about that," and I will say this, and I knew you were trying to wrap us up. That Africa has a traditional voice, but it also has a contemporary voice, and we
Yeah.
would be remiss not to honor and respect both of those voices. So every year, that's what I try to do. I try to do something which is traditional. I know you're getting ready to lead into what is this year, right? You know,
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead. And we have to announce that it's again virtual, but yeah.
Yeah, man, I got people that were just so upset that it was virtual again this year. But I gotta say this to the performing arts and the theater people of the world of the living theater. This pandemic, this darkness, right, that we have, these forms of, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people losing their lives, millions if we look at it from a global perspective, and the darkness of this disease, this dis-ease that we are in, right, this dis-ease state. The beauty of darkness is that, and my father used to say this to me, right? We sleep away 1/3 of our lives, 8 hours a day, 1/3 of our life we spend in darkness. And when we go into darkness, we regenerate. We are reborn. Our body heals itself, and our body begins to find new ways to express itself. So in this darkness, the people in film, right, and movies, they've been doing this for decades.
For
We
a minute.
now in the dance that we have discovered now, oh my God, you know, if I can be a little street, oh shit, check out the world of, you know, of film, and let's take this world, this new virtual world, and the difference between what we can do with dance in the theater, you know, is that we got close-ups.
Yes. Hello.
And speed ramp, right? It's like when you just lead your face into the camera and I saw them pretty eyes, you know, like that come right at me, you know, that the camera can zoom in and the camera can see the form, but they will see stuff in the language and the aesthetic and the texture and the drama in the theater that you don't get all of that sometimes. You get another perspective, which is you see it, you know, panoramically, you know. So
you see a great future. You see good things ahead.
I see both of it. I see that this virtual world has opened up, you know, the struggle and the challenge and the risk of doing dance and presenting dance in a way that we did. And those of us who were in the living theater, we didn't look at it that way. Yeah. And I'm strung out in live theater. I just want you to know that.
I know. And I have to wrap this up. And I don't know that we can say who's going to be yet because we haven't really made an announcement.
But we can say what the program is, right?
Yes.
The program is right, Voix Zanzet Yo, which is ancestral voices. They speak, not parler, and nous danse, and we dance, right? They speak, we dance, right? I think I got that right because
I think so too. And the theme,
right? Right.
And the theme is Haiti.
The theme is they correct me with this too. They say don't call it Haiti, say Haiti, right? Haiti. You know, they make me go with the, you know, with the vernacular. They say, brother, don't go French on us. Stay in the, you know what I mean? Stay in the and nothing wrong with French. I wish I had more French because I could have done better in West Africa if I did.
That's all right. You know, but let's invite everybody.
Everybody come and experience the beauty of Haiti. And the companies are
I'm not sure if we can say that yet.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up. So get in trouble.
Let's save it as a nice surprise anyway, because the BAM press release will come out soon.
That's right.
And we'll shout loudly who the guests are. But stay tuned, everybody. Memorial Day weekend, we will be around with classes, indoor, outdoor, this fabulous virtual Dance Africa that Baba Abdel is putting together. And you will have lots of fabulous surprises as well. Thanks for being here. We love all of you. And we love you, Danny, SummerStage, anywhere. See y'all soon.
And let me just say, that's why you're the producer. And I am just the artistic director so that you can keep me in check. And Danny, thank you so much for the amazing work that you have done with SummerStage, and to the SummerStage crew for bonding with us and allowing us to form this union together for the first time, you know, in a new way, and hopefully for many years to come. You know, we love you, Danny. Charmaine loves you. I love you. We love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Peace and blessings.
I'm the Artistic Director of DanceAfrica, and I would like to give applause to our elders. Now, to those of you who don't know, when I say I go, this is from Ghana. When I say I go, it means attention. You answer Amen, which means I am listening. Now we will be using that this evening throughout the program, so I want to make sure that everyone is tuned in to my vibe, to our vibe. So if I say I go, no matter when I say it, if I say I go, please answer Amen. I go. Amen. I go. Amen. Because as I said, I'm subject, I go to say it at any time, but I want to know that you're listening, I go, because it is taken from the fact that many times The teachers, the elders, will conduct classes outside under the baobab tree. All type of activity I go is going on. And to make sure that everyone is listening, tuned in, I go, they will interject these phrases. I go. Sometimes it gets right rhythmic as you into it because I go. I go. I go. And then you know, bring these ideas alive. I go.
Shirley Prendergast, Shirley LaFleur, Nipsey Hussle, Frank Lett, Derek Minter, David Bacall, Norma Miller, Maddie Brunson Screen, Mama Haifa Rakia Abdurrahman, Bob Slade, John Singleton, Felix Cochran, Merrill Van Dyke Swami Shivananda, Stan Kennard, Ethel Ennis, Mel Tomlinson, John H. O'Neill, Mabel Lee, JoJo Smith, Raven Wilkinson, Janice Hart Braithwaite, Thea Narissa Barnes, Charles Weldon, Nancy Wilson, Entezaki Shange, Rael Lamb, Arthur Mitchell, Mama Madeline Yayodele Nelson, Rodney Bacall, Randy Weston, Kwame Azaleas Ross, Belos Smith, Dolores Vanison, Grace L. Jones, Reg E. Cathy, Kofi Annan, Aretha Franklin, Baba Chuck Davis.